Hi, this is Ken Wolf, Artistic Director of Manhattan Rep, the host of the Playwriting Podcast, and the director and the producer of Powerhouse Off-Broadway. I'd like to welcome you to my new program, How to Structure a Great Play. So over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to outline a specific structure so that you can always write a great play. Yes, always write a great play. So, you're not locked in any structure when you want to write a play. If you want to write a great play, there are certain principles to structuring a great play, and I'm going to go through those principles of the structure so that you can actually write a great play. Okay, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to write a great play. You just have to tell a personal story. So I'm going to outline this whole process with you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So the first principle of the structuring of a great play is to make sure that within the first 4 minutes of your play, there is a problem that needs to be solved. This is so important because the problem is what keeps the audience focused on your play. So within the first 4 minutes, oh my God, how can I do that? Yes, you need to do it within the first 4 minutes because anything longer than that, the audience is going to start to check out, and you do not want the audience to check out. So whatever the problem might be, the main character might be an alcoholic and you can see this character on a drinking binge, right? But it's really important at the very beginning of the play, the first 4 minutes, this is principle number 1 of the structure of a play. You need to make sure that the problem is very evident within the first 4 minutes of your play. The next principle of the structure of a great play is you need to make sure that you structure in action and events into every scene. Now, I've talked about this a lot on the Playwriting Podcast, but this is paramount in terms of creating and structuring a great play. It is so important that you build action and events into each scene. So what do I mean by action? Well, action basically is what happens between the characters, okay? So this character is fighting with this character, boom, 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 all this kind of stuff is happening between them, okay? Let's say one person wants to get some money from the other person doesn't want to give it to him, so there's all this back and forth. This is action. They're fighting. They're trying to change the other person. And this is so, so important if you're writing a play, and it needs to be built into the structure of the play. There needs to be action. They're fighting for something, or someone's seducing somebody to get something. They're trying to change the other characters. Another important thing about action is you have to make sure that the action of the play happens like almost immediately when the first scene starts. There needs to be some sort of conflict right off the bat. You don't want to wait 4 minutes. You need to have some sort of conflict, something kind of strange going on between some of the characters because that pulls focus. It's funny. If you've ever been in a restaurant and somebody breaks a glass, everybody will just turn and look at the glass. Well, as a playwright, it is action that creates focus. You got to make sure things are happening between your characters, because if they're not happening between the characters, our audience is going to go to sleep. They're just going to check out. This is not a film. In a film, filmmakers can use the camera lens to create focus. The only thing you can do as a playwright to create focus is to put in action and then also events, which we'll talk about in a moment. But action is so important. Things happen in between, struggle between your characters. You need to build it into the structure of your play to write a great play. Now, the next thing, which is really important in terms of building the structure of the play, is to build in these events. Now, what is an event? An event is something that happens around the characters. Now, you don't have to do too many of these in a play, but it's really, really good that you put a couple things in, something happening around the characters. Let's say, these characters are away at a vacation retreat. Maybe there could be a thunderstorm, thunder and lightning as they're trying to work out their relationship issues. But put in these events around what's happening between these characters because it's really fun. It's really fun to do things like that. Something can happen. A painting can fall off the wall and they could discover something behind that could change, their relationship. I have no idea. I'm just throwing this out. But you need to, have something else happen on the stage around them because that will also keep your audience involved. So you have action that happens between your characters built into the structure of the play. And then you have events that happen around the characters that also help pull focus and create these dramatic moments in your play. So this is really important for you to think about as you begin to structure a great play. The next principle of structuring a great play is to make sure that the scenes in your play top each other. So, the first scene has some sort of drama, then you need to top it. It might be amped up a little bit more, it might be a little wild and crazy, something happening, right? And then the third scene, it needs to be amped up a little bit more, right? So you need to make sure that the scenes top each other, because that's why people get involved. Oh my God, this is crazy. Oh my God, this is even crazier. Oh my God, this is wild. Look where this is going. It is absolutely nuts and crazy. So make sure when you structure your play, if you want to structure it like a great play, is that the first scene happens and then it's topped by the next scene. And the next scene, it might be in a different way, something interesting might happen. And then again, in another way, it keeps topping it, boom, 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 and it escalates towards the climax. But you need to top those scenes. And if you're doing a comedy, it's really important you top the comedy in your play. So it's kind of funny here, good jokes, and then the better jokes are here, and then it gets even crazier and crazier in terms of what's happening on stage, but also in terms of the jokes that they're saying and delivering during this play. It's really important. Boom, boom, boom. So also let your jokes get topped in your comedies. But this whole idea of topping your scenes is so friggin' important. It is, I've seen so many plays that start out, boom, they're just fantastic, and then boom, the second scene is great, and then boom, boom. And I go, get me out of here. Get me out of here. What's going on? It started so great. What happened? It's because the playwright wasn't utilizing this principle, the principle of topping each scene and let it escalate. Super, super important. The next principle of structuring a great play is to escalate the dramatic action. I talked about it earlier in terms of topping. That's one thing. But you also need to escalate all the problems that happen with all the characters and let everything escalate. The key to any great play is escalation. Starts with the problem, and then it gets worse and crazier and nuttier, and oh my God, help! Oh my God, this is the greatest play. Oh, this is nutty. It's escalating. It's got out of control. Just fantastic. So one of the ways that you can structure in this escalation is to problem stack. Have the problems get worse and worse and worse for the main characters or characters. So, there's a problem of the play, that's pretty bad, but then other problems that are connected to the problem of the play are kind of crazy, and maybe relationship problems, or the parents are not happy what's going on and they're a pain in the bum, and all these things begin to escalate and escalate and escalate and go nuts. But you need to build that in, okay? You just need to build in this escalation. This escalation is so important if you're gonna write a great play. It needs to escalate and escalate and escalate and get crazy, boom, 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 leading to that climax, boom! So the next principle of the structure of a great play is to build to an exciting climax. Now, I find the best climax moments are when it is an event. Something happens, there's a big fight, and the chandelier falls down and everyone screams and they look, and my God, what have we done? We're destroying the house. We have to change. I know that sounds crazy, but some sort of event, they're fighting, boom, 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 all of a sudden, boom. The child gets hit by, something that fell off a table while they were fighting, and the child's fine, but they go, oh my God, we can't fight like this anymore. We have to change. But think about how you can build your climax to be, boom, some sort of event that is a game changer. A big event where everything changes, the problem goes away. But let it be a big event. It's an event that I like to call a wow moment. It's really important to make your climaxes wow moments. Like, wow, what just happened there on stage? What just happened? Another thing that I think is really important in terms of the climax is I like to have a climax that has all the characters in your play in this climax. So let's say you have a play with 4 characters. Put them all into this climatic scene. It's so much fun. Put all the characters there and let them go nuts and crazy, boom, and let it lead to whatever event. Boom! Oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe it. That's fantastic. That's what you want. So when you think about building to your climax, let it be a big event, a big emotional event too. It could be coming out of a monologue and the person breaks down and the other person the first time just takes their daughter in their arms and holds her and says, I love you, when she's never said I love you all her life. And that could be a game changer too. So it's really important in building the structure of a play that you build the climax to be a big event. A big event, right? If it's going to be a great play, let it be a big event so the audience goes, wow, that is incredible. Holy mackerel. That's what you want. And the last part of the structure in building a great play is to have a resolution. Okay, it doesn't have to be long. It could be a page and a half, and you don't always need one. Sometimes you can just end with a big climactic thing and leave everybody with a question. That's okay. But often the audience wants to have some sort of resolution. So you can build in a resolution, but don't have it be longer than a page and a half. Because anything longer than that, they're going to go, I just saw the climax. Where the heck is this going? I got to go home. The kids, get me out of here. I mean this. This is what we're dealing with as playwrights. So it's really important that the resolution scene after the big climax, or whatever resolution happens after that big climax, you need to make sure that it's only a page and a half tops. But make it only a page and a half. Trust me on this. Trust me on this. Please trust me on this. As playwrights, sometimes we love to write scenes, but often we don't need these longer scenes. We just don't. So keep your resolution to be about a page and a half, and it will rock. So there you have it, the structure of a great play. You start with a problem that needs to be solved, a big problem that happens within the first 4 minutes. Build in action between the characters. Things are happening between the characters. Oh my God, this is wild. Things are happening. And then events, boom, around the characters, right? Then make sure that the scenes top each other, more and more and more and more, boom, to the climax. Make sure that within those scenes there is escalation. Escalation in the scene, escalation from scene to scene, right? Does that make sense? Escalation in the scene, escalation from scene to scene to scene. Escalation is the key to any great play, any great novel, any great really work of art. Even a painting, you look at it, it gets deeper and crazier and wonderful. Oh my God, what's going on here? It's taking me for a ride. And that's what you want to do with your play. You want to take the audience for a ride. Then it escalates and you get to this climax, boom. And the climax should be a wow moment. Like, wow, what just happened? Oh my God, I've never seen anything like that. That's incredible. Oh my God, where the main character or characters change in some way, make a new choice, where something's different, something happens, something resolves the problem of the play. And then we have the resolution, boom. Keep that resolution to a page and a half. Just a page and a half and be done with it. So there you have the structure of a great play. Now, I invite you not to try to reinvent the wheel. Try this structure out because I know it works. I've worked with playwrights who use this structure, and boy, oh boy, are they writing amazing, amazing plays. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to write a great play. There are principles to playwriting, and this structure of building a great play involves some of those really important principles. So try that when you build your play. Oh, there's one other thing I want to share with you. It's really important, and you've heard me say this probably many times before on the Playwriting Podcast. It's really important that you don't just sit down and write from dialogue. Now, we talked about the structure of the play, and we talked about, putting in the action. That's really important, is to build the play first. Say, this is going to happen between them, but don't start with a dialogue, because this action between the characters is going to create the dialogue. So if you just go in there and start creating dialogue, it's just not really going to be connected to something. And an actor is going to say, what the hell is going on here? And a director is going to say, oh my God, I got to put some action into this because it's not happening. But it's really important that you structure your play and put all those things, those actions, those things that the characters are fighting for, the events, boom, that happen around them, put them in the play. Build the structure into an emotional event map. We'll talk about that more on another one of my video courses, but this is basically what it is. Put it all together and then build from that. Don't write from dialogue. Writing from dialogue has no real dramatic action, and you end up having to retrofit it and rework stuff, and then your play looks like it's retrofitted. It's not very elegant. So I invite you, if you're the type of writer who just wants to sit down and write his play, I want to write my play, here we go, boom, boom, boom. I invite you to do something different. I invite you to build the structure of the play first so you know everything about it, and then write the best play of your life. So I hope this helps. And I invite you to remember that there are principles to playwriting. And when you use these principles to playwriting, you have a better chance of creating a great play. If you don't use the principles of playwriting, you're just wasting your time. You really are. Especially if you're a first-time playwright. Yeah, when you have 20 plays under your belt and they're all successful and everything is great, wonderful, then you may want to play with structure. But now I invite you to really work this structure, and write from the structure of your play. And you'll write an amazing, amazing play. This is Ken Wolf, Artistic Director of Manhattan Rep, the host of the Playwriting Podcast. And yes, I was the director and the producer of Powerhouse off-Broadway. And I hope you find this useful for your playwriting career. If you have any questions about anything at all regarding playwriting, please write to me at howtowriteplays@yahoo.com.